All right, shalom, shalom, Yasha Allah. Shalom to the 12 tribes of Yasha Allah, giving, of course, all honor, glory, and praise unto Yahawah, BAHASHAM, Mahashiach, Wamalaki Abashah. That's all praises, honor, and glorification unto the Most High Yahweh. In the name of his only begotten Son, Mahashiach, Wamalaki Abashah. This is your brother Yasha Allah, coming back at y'all with yet another video through the spirit and power of Yahweh, BAHASHAM, Mahashiach Abashah. All right, so this is going into, as you can see, Exodus chapter 22 breakdown. All right, because it's important to get into the law. Okay, because remember, before we, let me just get this precept, right? I'm gonna let the scripture speak. All right, remember, the law is very, very important, even in this day and age. All right, this is the book of Psalms, chapter 111 and verse 10. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of the wisdom. So that's the beginning of our wisdom right there. The fear of the Most High, right? It says, a good understanding have all they that do his commandments, his praise endure forever, right? And where are you going to find the majority of the Most High's commandments? In the Pentateuch, in the Torah, right? Which means the law, the instructions, which is the first 5 books of Moses, right? So that's where you're going to find the laws at, right? So it's good to study the law, all right? It's good to study the law. Right, Salaki, all right, let's get this. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 19 and verse 19. All right, Sirach 19 and 19. The knowledge of the commandments of the Lord is the doctrine of life, and they that do things that please him shall receive the fruit of the tree of immortality. The fear of the Lord is all wisdom, and in all wisdom is the performance of the law and the knowledge of his omnipotency. So knowledge, right? Or that wisdom is the performance of the law. And you're not going to be able to perform the law if you don't know it. So that's why we're diving in to some of the laws, all right, found in Exodus chapter 22. All right, and I'm going to just get one more precept, all right, in the New Testament, showing you that the law is still here, right, and that the law is good. Well, of course, you got Romans 7 and 12, that the law is good. I want to get another precept on that, though. This is the book of Romans chapter 2, right? And verse 26. Therefore, if the uncircumcision keep the righteousness of the law. So the law is still counted righteous. That's where you get your righteousness from, as it states in the book of Psalms, chapter 119. The performance of the law and your faith. All right. So let's get into the law. All right. Go to the book of Exodus, chapter 22. And also, you have Passover coming up. All right, so if you have Passover coming up, where's the count at Passover found? In the book of Exodus. All right. Namely, Exodus, you can just read from chapter 1 all the way to chapter around 14. You know what I'm saying? You got the story about Passover when we left ancient Egypt. All right. So let's go to Exodus chapter 22 and let's kick it off. Verse 1. All right. Exodus chapter 22 and verse 1. Says, if a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. So if a man steals an ox, right, or a sheep, and kills it, or he may sell it, right, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox. So you have to pay back 5 oxen for an ox. If you're that thief, you have to pay back 5 oxen for 1 ox. And 4 sheep for 1 sheep, right? If you stole a sheep, you got to pay back 4. If you stole an ox, you got to pay back 5 oxen, right? Verse 2, plain and simple, right? If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. So if a thief be found breaking up, meaning that you find him breaking into your house, right? Let's get a precept on that real quick. It's the book of John, chapter 10. All right, let's get this precept. And, you find that thief coming in, right? John, chapter 10 and verse 1. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that entereth not by the door into the sheepfold. Now, who's the door? The door is YAHAWASHI, right? Into the sheepfold, but climbeth up some other way. So you climb up some other way. What are you, right? The same is a thief and a robber. You see that? So YAHAWASHI is calling people that don't go through him to get to the sheep. The sheep is talking about the nation of Israel, right? He's calling them robbers, right? You trying to climb up some other way, right? So like exactly. So like for Exodus chapter 22 verse 2, a thief be found breaking up. You're not gonna find a thief knocking on your door, right? He's gonna climb up some other way. He's gonna go through the window. He's gonna try to go through the back door. He's gonna go. He's gonna try to find a secretive way to get into your house, right? So Yahawah, is kind of making reference to that. Let's go back to this Exodus chapter 22 verse 2. If a thief be found breaking up and be smitten that he die, there shall no blood be shed for him. So if a thief breaks into your house and you kill him, right? You smite him that he dies. Hey, that's it. Nothing should be done for that, right? That's justified. Verse 3. If the sun be risen upon him, meaning if it's after sun, or when the sun is up, basically, right? When the sun is up, right? There shall be blood shed for him. So meaning that what? If you kill a thief that's breaking into your house, right? And it's at night, then it's justified. But if it's during the day, then it's not justified. And there shall be blood shed for that thief, right? Remember, you had something called the avenger of blood. But let's keep going. For he should make full restitution. For if he have nothing, right, then he shall be sold for his theft. So if you find the thief, and he's going to have to pay back everything that he stole, right? But if he doesn't have much, meaning he doesn't have anything, right? Nothing. When you go into the Hebrew word for nothing, is going into if he doesn't have much, right? Then he shall be sold for his theft. So he has to be sold as a servant, right? And you have the law about the Hebrew servant in the book of Exodus chapter 21, all right? And he shall scholars will tell you that he should serve about 6 years. All right. Verse 4. If the theft be certainly found in his hand alive, whether it be oxen or ass or sheep. So if you find a thief, right, you find a thief that stole your oxen, your sheep, whatever, he shall restore double. All right. He shall restore double. Verse 5. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed in another man's field. Right. So if you just, you're letting your beast, your cattle, or whatnot, let's say cattle, right? You're letting your cattle roam free. Your cattle is, just eating, right? It's grazing in the field. What is grazing? Right. Let's look up this word, right? Grazing, right? Images. All right. So I'm gonna share my screen. Oh, sloppy here, right? So grazing is just is an agricultural method of you just letting your livestock roam free, right? So this is cattle, all right? Maybe you got your sheep and whatever, and they just eating in the field, all right, like this. So that's an agricultural method that they used to use and that they still use today, right? Instead of you actually coming up to your cattle and feeding them yourself, you're just letting them roam free, right? But it says, let's start from the top, Exodus chapter 22, verse 5. If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed in another man's field. So that beast roams, let's say he roams to another man's field, right? And it's not your own. Of the best of his own field, and of the best of his own vineyard shall he make restitution. Meaning, let's say that cattle roams to another man's field and he's eating all his let's say he's eating all his like his crops, right? Like his wheat or something, right? Hey, you have to pay that man back of your own field. You know what I'm saying? Let's say they ate, your cattle ate a certain amount of wheat from another man's field, and you have to give that man that same amount of wheat. All right. You shall make restitution. Now, let me look up that word restitution, because that's going to appear a lot in this chapter. All right. Restitution, because you may not know what that is. All right. But maybe you can kind of guess what it is based off the context. All right. But let's just look it up. Right. Restitution. the restoration of something lost or stolen to its proper owner. You see that? So it's just return, restoration, replacement, right? Handing back, recovery, or a recompense for injury or loss. So that's, those two definitions really are good. All right. So recompense, right? So all right. So that's basically what restitution is. All right, you paying them back. All right, you're making it good, like the Lord says. All right. Verse back in Exodus chapter 22, verse 6. If fire break out, so if the fire breaks out and catch in thorns, so that the stacks of corn or the standing corn or the field be consumed therewith, he that kindled the fire shall surely make restitution. So if you kindle a fire and then that fire spreads out of nowhere and burns another man's crops, his wheat or something like that, right? Then you have to pay that back. You have to make restitution, right? Verse 6. If fire break out, verse 7. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. So going back to verse 4, if the thief steals something out of the man's house, the thief be found, and he has to pay double, right? Verse 8, if the thief be not found, so if they don't find the thief, but the stuff that the man borrowed to another man, right, it's not found. If the thief be not found, then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges to see whether he have put his hand onto his neighbor's goods. So let's reread verse 7, right? If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep. So if you lend your neighbor, right? Remember, your neighbor is one of your own nation. Let's just get that real quick, right? It's the book of Leviticus, chapter 19, and verse 17, right? Leviticus 19 and verse 17. Thou shalt not, right? I can start at verse 17. It says, thou shalt not hate thy brother in thy heart. Thou shalt in any wise rebuke thy neighbor and not suffer sin upon him. Thou shalt not avenge nor bear any grudge against the children of thy people, the children of your people, right? But thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. I am the Lord. So your neighbor is one of your own nation, one of your own people. All right, so let's go back to this Exodus chapter 22, right, in verse 7. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house. So let's say you lend, your neighbor, your fellow Israelite, let's say you lend him some money, right? $5, right? And you put it in, and it's in that guy's house, right? If it be stolen out of that guy's house that you lend that $5 to, right? If the thief be found, let him pay double. So now, if you find the thief, he has to pay $10 now, right? Because that's paying double. Verse 8, if the thief be not found, so if you can't find the thief, then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges. So the master of the house will be brought unto the judges to see whether he have put his hand onto his neighbor's goods. So they're going to make inquisition. They're going to try to figure out, okay, so are you just lying, right, and saying that this was stolen, or did you really steal it? You know what I'm saying? If you can kind of understand, like the two Israelites will have to stand before the judges, and they will have to defend their case. Like, hey, no, see, I didn't do it. Someone actually stole it. Look, my window's broken, right, and stuff like that, right? It says, right, verse 9, for all manner of trespass, whether it be for ox, for ass, for sheep, for raiment, or for any manner of lost thing, which another challengeth to be his, meaning, hey, that's mine, right? Challengeth to be his, hey, that's mine. Hey, that's my ox right there, right? If you challenge that to be yours, hey, I think that's my horse you got right there, right? Whether it be for anything, right? Or hey, I think you got on my my jacket, right? I think that's mine because I lost it the other day, right? If you challenge to be his, right, the cause of both parties, both people, right, shall come before the judges. You have to come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, he shall make double unto his neighbor. You see that? So if the judges say, hey, no, you guilty, right, because this, that, and the third, then you have to pay that double, right? And they will have to decide what that is. Verse 10. If a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or a sheep or any beast to keep, and it die or it be hurt or driven away, no man seeing it. So if you deliver unto your neighbor an ox, a sheep, or a beast or any beast, right, and it dies, it is hurt or it runs away, right, and nobody sees it, right? Verse 11. Then shall an oath of the Lord be between them both. So you can make an oath, right? You know how they make oaths and stuff, or they put their hand on the scriptures and whatnot. We didn't put our hand on the scriptures. I don't believe we did that, but we just made an oath with that man or the other party and the Lord, right? And the Lord will seal that oath, right? Be between them both, that he have not put his hand unto his neighbor's goods, meaning that he has no involvement with that his neighbor's goods. Like, let's say the ox, right? Let's say, you know, you borrow an ox from your neighbor, right? And you want to use that ox. You want to use it for yourself. You want to take it, right? So you say, so you hide the man's, you hide your neighbor's ox and be like, hey, you know, I can't find your ox. I think he ran away, right? So if you do that, right, that's basically theft, right? But it says what? And the owner shall slug. So then you will have to make an oath, right? Now, if you go as far as to make an oath, hey, that's between you and the Lord, right? Because that's now you are swearing falsely by the Most High's name, right? And we know how the Most High feels about that. The Most High will put you to death for that, right? Lying on his name, right? It says, but not put his hand onto his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept thereof, and he shall not make it good. Meaning, no payment is required, right? No payment is required. So, and if you are innocent, right, then nothing would happen. You know what I'm saying? Verse 12. And if it be stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto the owner thereof. So, reason why you had to make restitution, if it was stolen, let's say the ox was stolen, is because you didn't take good care of it. You knew that when you would borrow this ox or this ass or this sheep or whatever, that you had to take care of that, right? Double fold, because that's somebody else's possession. So if it got stolen, right? If that ox got stolen, instead of it running away or being killed or being hurt, right? Hey, you have to make restitution now, right? So these are just laws. Verse 13. If it be torn in pieces, then let him bring it for witness, and he shall not make good that which was torn. So meaning if that cattle or that sheep, whatever, that animal is torn in pieces, then bring the pieces for a testimony, right? That's what that means, for a witness, for a testimony. See, and look at these. They're torn in pieces, right? So maybe a bear ate them, whatever, right? And he shall not make that good, or make good that which was torn, meaning you don't have to pay for that, right? You don't have to pay for that. So come on, let's keep going. Verse 14. Verse 14. And if a man borrow aught of his neighbor, and if it be hurt or die, the owner thereof be not with it, he shall surely make it good, right? Verse 15. But if the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. So yeah, if it be an hired thing, it came for his hire, right? So come, keep going. Verse 16. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. Right. So if you entice a maid, you spitting game to a girl, right? That's not betrothed. She's not promised to another man. She's not married or whatever. She's free, right? She's so-called single. And lie with her, right? You lie with her. He shall surely endow her to be his wife. So now that is your wife now, right? Now that is your wife. Now you guys have to go through the marriage ceremony, right? Or you don't have to, but now you have to take her in as a wife. You have to bestow the duties of a wife onto her, because now that is your woman in the eyes of the Lord. Verse 17. If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins, right? Because in the ancient world, right, there was no, oh, that's my girlfriend, that's my boyfriend, right? That wasn't going on in the ancient world, right? it was man, right? It was husband and wives, right? And the man would have to pay a dowry. A dowry is a cost, right? Or let me just look it up for you, right? So the dowry is a price of a woman, but remember, the dowry is for virgins, right? Women that hasn't laid down with any man, right? So come on, so let's, and they still this. I think they still do this kind of stuff in India. All right, I know that they do arranged marriages in India, but they might even pay for a dowry as well. All right. So this is a dowry, right? Dowry.
Dowry.
Right? Come on. So it says property or money brought by a bride to her husband on their marriage. You see that? So it's money. Now, back in the ancient world, that money would be for that woman, but it would be basically be for that woman's virginity. All right. Come on. And so that man, that the husband, or like the father, will be, most of the time in charge of that marriage. All right. Most of the time, that father would, let me get this precept, right? On how things were kind of conducted in the ancient world. All right. I want to get let the scripture speak. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 42. All right. Sirach, chapter 42, verse 9. The father waketh for the daughter when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep. When she is young, lest she pass away the flower of her age, and being married, lest she should be hated. So the father, hey, that's a heavy thing to marry your daughter, right? Meaning to give your daughter unto a man, right? Because that's the kind of stuff that was done in the ancient world. The father would give their daughter or his daughter unto another man, right? For marriage. That would be conducted. And sometimes, the fathers would come and say, okay, my son, this, that, your daughter, hey, he's going to pay you, like 30 shekels, right? A silver. And the reason why they had to pay also was because the father is losing a valuable asset to the house. Because remember, the father, a lot of times, because, back in the ancient world, a lot of the things were agricultural. And they needed bodies, they needed help around the house to get money and to survive and to live. So the father losing a woman, because a woman could cook, clean, make garments, do all this stuff around the house, and she's a very what's the word? She's a very valuable asset around the house, right? A help. Let me get this scripture real quick, all right? It's the book of Sirach. Sirach chapter. Yeah, I want to get this about the woman. All right, this is the book of Sirach chapter 36 and verse 24, right? He that giveth the wife beginneth a possession, a help like unto himself, and a pillar of rest. Because a woman is a help, right? Or she should be a help, all right? And so even in the household, as a daughter, the daughters would help out the fathers and the mothers, right? Do things around the house, get money and whatnot, all right? This is back in Sirach chapter 42 and verse 10. So the father, he stresses that back in the ancient world, the father would be stressed out about that. What man is worthy for my daughter, right? What man? Because remember, you had to pick. Hey, the woman, right? If the woman was hated, if your daughter was hated, then your house would be looked at kind of funny. You know what I'm saying? Verse 10. So that's why it says, or actually, I'm going to start at verse 9 again. The father waketh for the daughter when no man knoweth, and the care for her taketh away sleep. Hey, the father, he's losing sleep, right? He's losing sleep over his daughter, right? Why? It says what? Slow. It says, and the care for her taketh away sleep. When she is young, lest she pass away the flower of her age, and being married, lest she should be hated. Because if that woman is hated, and she gets divorced, right? Man writes her a bill of divorcement, and she's hated. Hey, your household was looked at funny. And let's say that your daughter doesn't have a husband at a certain age, your household was also looked at funny, right? Because remember, the younger woman would marry, all right? It was common that the younger woman would marry. Let's get this. This is the book of 1 Timothy chapter 5 right? 1 Timothy chapter 5, verse 14. I will therefore that the younger women marry, bear children, guide the house, give none occasion to the adversary to speak reproachfully, right? So the younger woman, they were married. Now, a lot of times in the ancient world, the young woman will want to get outside the house and get a husband and have kids. That was a common thing. Even for our daughters of Zion, they didn't want to be in the house all day. They wanted to actually bear children, right? Verse 10. And back in Sirach chapter 42, verse 10. And her virginity, lest she should be defiled, and gotten with child in her father's house, and having a husband, lest she should misbehave herself, and when she is married, lest she should be barren. All right. So Khan, and those are all reproachful things for a father. Your father, your daughter's barren. That's actually a bad thing, because our women wanted to actually bear children. All right. To be barren was to be you be mocked at. All right. Like, let's get this account real quick. And barren means you're not able to have kids, right? It's a book of 1 Samuel chapter 1, because at first Hannah was barren at first, right? 1 Samuel chapter 1 and I'm gonna start at verse 4, right? 1 Samuel chapter 1 and verse 4. And when the time was that Elkanah offered, he gave to Peninnah his wife, and to all her sons and her daughters portions. But unto Hannah he gave a worthy portion, for he loved Hannah, but the Lord has shut up her womb, meaning that she was barren, she couldn't have kids. And her adversary also provoked her sore, her adversary, her enemy, right? For to make her fret, because the Lord hath shut up her womb. You see that? So women, not saying all women, right? But maybe, because women have drama and whatnot. But if that basically a woman was basically mocking Hannah because she couldn't have kids, right? And Hannah, when you read this account, she was crying, and she would basically later make an oath or a vow unto the Most High that if she would have a son and her son would be Samuel, she will make him a Nazarite from birth, right? So she went to that length, she went to that far, right? Just to have a kid, you know what I'm saying? So that's how much our women wanted kids. But let's get back into this. Exodus chapter 22 and verse 18, right? Exodus 22 and 18. Thou shalt not suffer a witch to live. So back in the ancient world, if a witch was there, and I'm just talking about, right? I'm not just talking about this, all right? Right? The scripture's not talking about this, all right? When you think of a witch, it's not just talking about this, all right? A girl just riding on a damn broomstick, all right? It's not just talking about this, all right? People, hold on. Let me look up this, right? Right? It's not just talking about this. What the hell is this? Right? A little green woman. All right? It's not just talking about that. It's talking about actual witches, actual women that would use magic, all right? Because that's actually real. All right? Would use spells and mix all this damn potions, right? It's not just talking about the hell is this, right? So it's actually talking about real riches, all right? Khan, Shalom Abai, right? Shalom. So it's not just talking about that, all right? It's talking about real witches, real women that would use magic and sorcery, all right? Let's go to the book of Deuteronomy. Right, it's like I had some precepts written down. All right, Khan. This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 18 and verse 10. There shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, right? So a witch, hey, if there was an enchanter, right? Someone's just enchanting, right? They just saying whatever, right? Those damn chants, right? Hey, you kill him, all right? You kill a damn witch, All right, or an observer of time, trying to use that magic on the left hand side, tap into the spiritual realm, right? And you know that the damn crystal ball. We're not dealing with the damn crystal ball, man. All right, verse 11. Or a charmer or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard or a necromancer, right? That's why King Saul, although you know he was kind of going off, right? King Saul eventually, if I'm not wrong, right, was basically getting rid of all the damn witches in the land, right? So Khan, right? So Khan, you had to kill that witch, right? And I remember, you know, even and back in like the Pilgrim times, they'll be claiming that certain women are witches and stuff like that, and they'll kill them. Yeah, you know, they'll keep that law, but like, you know, they're not. You're just kind of just picking and choosing. You know, you didn't see the damn pilgrims with fringes on, right? You didn't see them with fringes on. You didn't see them not eating pork and stuff like that, right? So come, let's go back to this Exodus chapter 22 and verse 19, right? And you can't, you know, you can't really keep this law right now, right? You can't really keep this law right now. Don't go and, you know, don't go and just kill a witch, all right? That's not expedient, all right? Verse 19, it says, whosoever lieth with the beast shall surely be put to death. So Khan, that's plain and simple. Don't lie with the beast, all right? That's off as hell, all right? Let's go to the book of Leviticus, chapter 18, verse 23. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down there too. It is confusion. So that's utter confusion. All right. So kind of, yeah, you know, we don't have to get too in depth to that, but yeah, that's there. All right, that's there because people did it. All right, and people still do it today. Exodus chapter 22 and verse 20. He that sacrificeth unto any god save the Lord only, he shall be utterly destroyed. So you can't sacrifice unto any other god. You can't just be like, hey, you know, hey, you want to go light incense unto Baal, right? Talking about, hey, you want to go worship Buddha real quick, right? No, we're not worshiping Buddha, man. We're not worshiping Ra. All right, we're worshiping YAHAWAH BAHASHAM, all right, and sacrificing unto him. All right. And even on a spiritual level, you know what I'm saying? You putting the world first, that's also, you know, on a spiritual level, because we know that the law is spiritual, right? The law is spiritual. And you know, you kind of just putting the truth on the back burner. We're not allowed to do that too. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 13 and verse 6. If thy brother, the son of thy mother, or thy son, or thy daughter, or the wife of thy bosom, or thy friend, which is as thine own soul, entice thee secretly, saying, let us go and serve other gods which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers. So if whoever, man, your friend, your mother, your damn slot, what does it say? Slot, not your mother, the son of your you know, your brother, your son, right, your wife, right, your friend, right, entices you, right? Remember, let me get this precept, right? Let's say if they entice you, right? And look at that. Look at how tall that statue of damn Buddha is, right? Look at that. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 12 and verse 26. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth. Right? So the way of the wicked is seducing the righteous, right? So let's go back to this. Deuteronomy chapter 13 and verse 6, right? It says, I'm gonna start it, yeah. It says, let us go and serve other gods which thou hast not known, thou nor thy fathers. And how do you serve other gods, right? How do you serve them? You just look at them, right? You just kind of, it's more than just bowing down onto them, right? It's more than that. You know, that is one way, but it's more than that. You do stuff. Your actions is how you sacrifice to these idols, right? Maybe lighting the incense. Maybe you're doing certain rituals to this god, right? You're doing, you know, certain stuff. That's how you sacrifice. That's how you worship and serve other gods, right? It's by your actions, and also what? By your mind as well, right? Because it starts in the mind. Sin starts in the mind, right? And then you perform those actions, right? Verse 7, namely the gods of the people which are round about you, nigh unto thee, or far off from thee, from the one end of the earth even unto the other end of the earth. Thou shalt not consent unto him, nor hearken unto him. Neither shall thine eye pity him. Neither shalt thou spare. Neither shalt thou conceal him. But thou shalt kill. But thou shalt surely kill him. Thy hand shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterwards the hand of all the people. You see that? So you had to kill that person, man, that was secretly enticing you. Hey, let's go sacrifice unto these other gods, man. That's how serious the Most High takes this. Because remember, what did the Most High say, man? Right? I don't think y'all understand. Right? What did the Most High say? The Most High is not playing. All right? It's the book of Exodus chapter 34 and verse 14. I'm going to start at verse 13. But ye shall destroy their altars, break their images, cut down their groves. Hey, man, if we had the chance to, if we had the liberty to, we'll be breaking down all these damn idols, man. Breaking down these damn churches. All right? Breaking down these damn images of Caesar Borgia. Right? You know that damn statue of Caesar Borgia, right? In damn Brazil. And we will break that down. All right? If we had the liberty to. Because that's what the Most High said. All right? Break that stuff down. That's an abomination. Right? Verse 14. For thou shalt worship no other God. So we can't worship any other God, right? For the Lord, Yahawah, whose name is jealous, is a jealous God. So the Lord said, hey, he said straight up, hey, my name is jealous. All right. So Khan, the Most High doesn't want us getting down, with these other gods. All right. So let's go back to this, Exodus chapter 22 and verse 21. Thou shalt neither vex a stranger nor oppress him, for you were strangers in the land of Egypt. Right. So this is the Most High basically commanding us to show mercy. All right. And to not vex strangers. Right. This is strangers to your own nation. Because remember, we can oppress the heathen. When you read that in the book of Deuteronomy, you can land usury on the other nations, but you can't land usury. Usury is what is that called? Is interest, right? A high amount of interest. So we can lend a high amount of interest on the other nations, but we can't do that to our own people. So that just shows you the favoritism, right, that the Most High has. And that's showing love, right, unto your brother and showing mercy unto your brother, right? Let's go to Leviticus chapter 19, verse 33, all right? It's the book of Leviticus. So we're commanded to show mercy unto our neighbor, all right? Leviticus chapter 19 and verse 33. It says, and if a stranger sojourn with thee in your land, ye shall not vex him, right? It says, but the stranger that dwelleth with you shall be as one born amongst you, meaning born in your land, right? And thou shalt love him as thyself. So we're commanded to love our neighbor as ourselves, right? For you were strangers in the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God, all right? So don't vex him, don't oppress him. Don't lend usury on him, right? Give him high amount of interest, you know what I'm saying? And all the other laws that pertain unto our people, you know what I'm saying? Don't neglect them, right? If he wants to come into your house, bring him in for hospitality. Tobit chapter 4 goes into that, all right? Verse 22. Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child, right? If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry. And my wrath shall wax hot, and I'll kill you with the sword. And your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. You see that? So that's us. We're also commanded to show mercy unto the fatherless and unto the widow, right? You can see this. This is basically like a what do they call it? That literary device called a motif, right? Or not, maybe kind of like a motif, right? We should always be merciful unto the fatherless and unto the widow, right? The Most High always says that. And the reason is, especially in the ancient world, is because if you didn't have a father in the house, that was a shame. But two, you didn't have a guide in the house. You didn't have a head in the house. So you should always be merciful unto them. And three, guess who was the breadwinner in the ancient world? The father, a lot of times. A lot of times, the breadwinner, the man that was bringing in the money and also the work that was doing the labor, was the father, right? So, and also let's take the widow as well. The widow, right? A lot of times, widows were poor because they couldn't get any money, right? Because the husband will basically bring in a lot of the money. A lot of times, for the women, all right. Not saying the women aren't profitable. I'm just saying that's how a lot of things were done. So they were a lot of them were poor. All right, a lot of the widows and fatherless children were poor. All right. So, yeah, let's go to James. It's the book of James. James chapter 1 and verse 26. If any man among you seem to be religious and bridleth not his tongue, but deceiveth his own heart, this man's religion is vain. Pure religion and undefiled before God and the Father is this, to visit the father and the widows in their affliction, and to keep himself unspotted from the world. And on a spiritual level, the fathers and the fatherless and the widows is going into the nation of Israel. All right. And literally, the widows and the fatherless on a literal level is going into the nation of Israel as well. All right. Because, a lot of times Jakes or so-called, black people, they're known for having one parent households, right? With the mother, alone with the kids, all right, and the father outside. That goes back to the curses, Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 54. All right, Exodus chapter 22 and verse 25. If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as a usurer, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury. So we are not allowed to lend upon our own people usury. And I kind of already explained that. It's just basically going into a high interest rate. All right, that's oppression. That's oppression according to the Most High. Verse 26. If thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge, thou shalt deliver it unto him by the sun. By that the sun goeth down. So what is that going into? So basically this raiment that it says, right? This raiment will be used as a warm wrapper, right? Sometimes compared to a Scotch plaid, right? Sometimes it's compared onto this. I'm gonna look this up. Right? Sometimes it's preferred or kind of compared to this. So if you can see my screen. Right, so sometimes it's kind of compared to this, right? This kind of if you've seen this like material, right? It's made out of wool. Most of the time it'll be made out of wool. But this raiment, right? You take it for a pledge, right? If you borrow this raiment from another man, you have to return it by the sun going down. Why? Because you didn't really have to use this in the day. A man wouldn't really have to use this in the day. A lot of poor Israelites would use this. You didn't really have to use it in the daytime, but at night when it gets cold, it'll be used as a blanket, right? So because let's keep reading, right? Verse 27. For that is his covering only; it is his raiment for his skin, right? Wherein shall he sleep? So how's he going to sleep, right? You can't sleep, all cold and shivering, right? It's hard to sleep. And it shall come to pass when he crieth unto me that I will hear, for I am gracious. You see that? So, the Most High hears the cries of the afflicted. And a lot of the laws, right, dealing with morality and civil laws, it goes into what? The Most High commanding us to show mercy unto our people and love. This is why we need the laws, right? Verse 28, thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. So we're not allowed to revile the gods. The gods is going into the judges. So the judges are called gods. All right. What did the Most High say? Psalm chapter 82 and verse 6. Psalm chapter 82, verse 6. I have said, ye are gods, and all of you are children of the Most High. Plain and simple, man. The Most High said, I have said, ye are gods. All right. Thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the rule of thy people. And Paul, believe it or not, Paul actually quoted the scripture. All right. Acts chapter 23. I'm going to start at verse 1. And Paul earnestly, beholding the council, said, men and brethren, I have lived in all good conscience before God unto this day. All right, slow. All right, verse 2. And the high priest Ananias commanded them that stood by him to smite him on the mouth. So, hey, Paul got smitten in the mouth because, hey, Paul, he's standing before the high priest Ananias, right? Verse 3. Then saith Paul unto him, God shall smite thee, thou whited wall. So Paul is kind of getting on the high priest right now, right? You say, hey, God's going to smite you, man, you whited wall, right? He basically called him whitewashed, right? For sittest thou to judge me after the law, and commandest me to be smitten contrary to the law, right? Verse 4, and they that stood by said, revilest thou God's high priest? So the Israelites that were in the count, or basically in the not the council, but that were around, they'll say, hey, what the hell? You trying to get on God's high priest? You're reviling the gods? You're cursing the ruler of our people, right? Verse 5. Then said Paul, what did Paul say? I wist not, brethren, meaning I knew not, right? Brothers, that he was the high priest. I didn't know he was a high priest. For it is written, thou shalt not speak evil of the ruler of thy people. Where is that found? In Exodus chapter 22, right? In verse 27. So he quoted the law and he said, oh, damn, I didn't know he was a high priest, right? Because it is written, the law says to curse not the rule of thy people, right? So Paul was like, hey, oh, damn, forgive me, right? I didn't know. Hey, man, so that shows you, man, that Paul was keeping the laws, all right? We should talking about there's only 10 commandments, right? Oh, there's only 2 commandments. You know, Christians try to say there's only 2 commandments, just to love your neighbor as yourself and love the Lord thy God, right? Well, then why the hell is Paul quoting Exodus chapter 22, verse 28, right? Get the hell out of here, all right? There's more than just 10 commandments. There's more than just 2 commandments, all right? All the commandments are still here. All the ones that we can't keep, we still keep, all right? And we strive our best to be perfect, all right? Because YAHAWASHI said in Matthew chapter 5 and verse 48, be ye therefore perfect, all right? Even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect. So we strive for that every day, all right? Come on. Exodus chapter 22 and verse 29. Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits. So what does that mean? Thou shalt not delay. The Hebrew for delay is going into procrastinating or loitering. It could also be used for neglect, right? So basically the Lord is saying, hey, you should offer the first of thy ripe fruits. The first of thy ripe fruits is going into what? The first fruits, which is what? The firstborn, right? The first of our cattle, right? The first of our animals that we had that are clean, that would be sacrificed. And third, the first of our basically increase, right? It says the first of thy ripe fruits and of thy liquors. The liquors is going into the wine and the oil that we will give. The firstborn of thy sons shalt thou give unto me. You see that? So we had to consecrate our firstborn sons. Let's get this account in the book of Luke. Luke chapter 2. Luke chapter 2 and verse 30. Luke chapter 20, or Luke chapter 2 and verse, right? Where is that? Luke chapter, okay, come on. Luke chapter 2 and verse 21. And when 8 days were accomplished for the circumcision of the child, his name was called YAHAWASHI, which was so named of the angel before he was conceived in the womb. And when the days of her purification, according to the law of Moses, were accomplished, they brought him to Jerusalem to present him to the Lord. Right? So they brought YAHAWASHI to Jerusalem to present him before the Lord. Right? According to the law of Moses that we should do. Right? That's written in right here in Exodus chapter 22 and also Exodus chapter 13. Verse 20. Gone. Yeah, verse 23. As it is written in the law of the Lord, every male that openeth the womb shall be called holy to the Lord, and to offer a sacrifice according to that which is said in the law of the Lord, a pair of turtle doves or 2 young pigeons. So anything, the first that openeth the matrix, openeth the womb, is mine. That's what the Lord said. All right, let's go to Exodus chapter 13. So you had to redeem your firstborn sons, right? You had to give a sacrifice for your firstborn sons, right? As a memorial, basically of Egypt, right? Because remember, what did the Lord do in Egypt? He killed all the firstborn. But guess what? Our firstborns were spared. So that's why from that point on, we had to give that sacrifice for our firstborn sons, right? And also for our animals as well, right? Exodus chapter 13, verse 2. Sanctify unto me all the firstborn, whatsoever openeth the womb among the children of Israel, both of man and of beast, it is mine, right? So plain and simple, right? Whatsoever openeth the womb. And that is going into the males, right? Verse 12, that thou shalt set apart unto the Lord all that openeth the matrix. The matrix is going into the womb. And every firstling that cometh of a beast which thou hast, the males shall be the Lord's. And every firstling of an ass thou shalt redeem with the lamb. And if thou wilt not redeem it, then thou shalt break his neck. And of all the firstborn of man amongst thy children shalt thou redeem. Right? Redeem meaning buy back. Right? Because remember, the Lord said, it is mine. Right? That's my son. You know, of our firstborn. The first fruits and of our first cattle, right? Firstborns of our cattle and of our animals. So you had to buy that back by what? Giving a sacrifice unto the Lord, right? Exodus chapter 22 and verse 30. Likewise shalt thou do with thine oxen and with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with his dam. On the 8th day thou shalt give it to me. So on the 7 days you let it be with its mother, right? And then the 8th day, you go ahead and sacrifice that, right? Verse 31. And ye shall be holy men unto me. Neither shall ye eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. So we're not allowed to eat roadkill, all right? Let's say, you kind of running in the wilderness, right? You're running in the wilderness and you see a beast, let's say a deer, right? He's kind of laying down on the floor. And you'd be like, oh, okay. Run to that deer and it's being eaten by some damn wolves, right? The wolves kind of run away. Are you allowed to eat that? No, we're not allowed to eat that, right? So we can't eat anything that's torn of beasts in the field, right? That flesh. Ye shall cast it to the dogs. So we're supposed to cast that to the dogs, right? So, So that's Exodus chapter 22 breakdown. Lord willing, this was edifying. Lord willing, you learned some laws. All right. It's a lot. It may be a lot, you know what I'm saying? But hey, what the Most High say? Let's get this precept real quick. Right? Okay. Let me just get the class. All right. It's the book of Sirach, chapter 39, and verse 1. It says, but he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient, and be occupied in prophecies. See that? So, we have to give our mind to the law of the Most High. All right. So, with that, I'd like to give all honor, glory, and praise unto YAHAWAH, BAHASHAM, YAHAWASHI, the water for watching. Right. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahawashi. Shalom.